Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Chevy here. And today I want to talk to you about studying online. So I do study online. I'm currently doing my Master's in Business Administration or my MBA, and I'm doing it 100% online. So I want to give you a couple of tips and tricks about studying online and also about why studying online can be easier than actually going somewhere physically, and also just how to keep motivated to keep studying online. So let's get into it. First of all, I suppose my story and why I'm studying online. So I've been working as a pharmacist in Australia for about 4 years of actual work, and potentially I was a pharmacist for about 7 years, maybe 8. I think so, something like that. I was getting sick of the same old each and every day, and was thinking about studying further. So at the time, I didn't actually have a lot of time because I was working full time. I was doing some of my commute to work was an hour each way, so it was a lot of time that I was taking, and I was doing a lot of social things with my friends, so I didn't think I had time to do anything, but it was always there in the back of my mind. Then I ended up quitting my job and going traveling overseas through Europe for about, just under a year. I then moved to England for a year and worked in a hospital over there, not as a pharmacist, just as an assistant. And during that time, I was just like, I worked out that I really didn't want to be the type of pharmacist that I was. So I wanted to do something further on top of that. After having decided that I was going to do further study, I looked at lots of courses. I looked at going back home, like going back to Australia. I looked at studying overseas. I looked at so many options, so many options. There's so much that you can look at online. I ended up moving to France, to the east of France. So it's a place called Metz. Is right near the border of Luxembourg, which then I suppose made my next choice easier, because here there aren't a lot of jobs for people who don't speak French very well, which is me, still learning, getting there. But then also to be a pharmacist in France, it takes 4 years of extra study. So even though I am a pharmacist or a qualified pharmacist in Australia, can't be one in France unless I do another 4 years, which I was like, that's just a lot. I don't know if I want to stay in France for 4 years, so that's not really an option. Also, I wasn't liking the regular retail pharmacy that I was doing in Australia. I got very interested in global health and public health and how to increase the health of everyone as a population. So this was also tying into the current environmental movement and climate change. It was related in with that. However, so I applied to do an online course I applied and got accepted into a postgraduate diploma in global health through a university in Canberra in Australia, so online. I got very excited, super interested, and then I got an email and the subject had been cancelled for the semester. I wasn't going to start, and I was like, well, that doesn't really work for me. I want to do something straight away. So I looked up other things that I could do. So something that had been in the back of my mind as well was doing an MBA. So my family have recently started a business and I got interested in it, and I was like, well, maybe I could do my MBA, so it would help in that way. And also potentially there might be some tax offsets, but I'm not earning enough for that to apply yet. I also am living in a different country. Anyway, I thought, okay, maybe I'll do my MBA. And I was like, well, that's all well and good, but like I don't have much time now to be able to apply. The semester is basically starting. There's going to be nowhere that is going to take applications. I saw a friend that I knew from traveling through Africa and South America. I saw that he on LinkedIn had started a course through the Australian Institute of Business. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just have a look, like that's kind of interesting. I had a look and they actually have 6 intakes each year. So I was like, perfect. So even though I couldn't start in February, I could start sort of when I wanted potentially. So emailed, applied. Someone called me, which was quite good. She also called me, even though I was in France, she called me on my French number, which was perfect because everyone else that you tried to give them a phone number, they wouldn't accept an overseas number. You had to have an Australian number, which all I had was my mum's. And so she was getting some calls from different universities. That was one of the reasons I was just like, okay, I really like these people. The MBA also works so for that business, also because I'm near Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a big business hub, big business hub. job. That's basically everything that they do. So I was like, okay, this would be perfect. It's online, it's part-time. I could do it as well as working to be able to pay money for rent and bills and food and whatever else. I got accepted into the AIB. I got accepted into the MBA, but I suppose the first step is the graduate diploma in management. So that is the first pull-out point if I want. So after 4 subjects, I can stop if I want to just go with my graduate diploma. But so far, I want to do my whole MBA. Why did I decide to study online? So it comes down to a couple of things, very obvious ones to be exact, and that is that it is in English. So there are some courses here in France that are run in English, but none where I am living right now. They are basically all in French. There are some in Luxembourg that are in English, but also it costs a lot of money. So that is why it's good that I'm studying through Australia, because I am actually still covered under the government, oh God, what is it? Fee help, HEX help program. I just have to study some of my subjects in Australia, which is fine. I've got plans to go back next year, so I will be studying some of my course then. So that is one of the other reasons. Another is that it is easy and I can do it from home. I don't have to travel anywhere. I don't have to pay, like to get the bus or, to get the train or whatever to the university campus and sit in a lecture hall when it's not that interesting. I can just do it all from my home. I can do it just on my computer. Everything is on my computer. It's so easy right there. How do I study online? So through AIB, each subject is 8 weeks. So you have 8 weeks of subject and or study, and then you have a week break in the middle. And so that is for basically 4 subjects that I know that I'm doing right now. So I've done 2 subjects. So I've done 2 lots of 8 weeks and had a week in the middle. I'm now on my 2nd week in the middle and will start my subject on Friday, my next subject. It's good because the dates are set, so I know what the dates are. I can also generally see the dates for the assessments. So they seem to have a general standard of assessment of that there is an initial assessment due the 2nd week, and that will just be basic overview, like let's get into it, see what's happening, probably only worth between 10 to 15% of your overall mark. Then you have an interim assessment, which is due sort of at like maybe about week 4-ish, maybe week 5, and then you have your capstone assessment, which is due either in week 7 or week 8, and that is like the general standard that seems to be. So I can sort of factor that into my plans of what I'm doing and how it is all going. I make sure to put all those dates in my calendar so that if someone wants to do something or I need to do something else, I know when my assessments are due and I can work around that situation. So some tips for studying online that I have discovered, sort of new, but am like now putting into practice, or things that I need to start to put into practice. So number 1 is to be prepared. Preparation is key. Everyone knows this. However, putting that into practice can be a little bit harder. My tip is to create a to-do list. I suppose before that, to put all those dates in your calendar of your assessments and when they are due, so then they're in there, but then also to create your to-do list. So either have daily to-do list, a weekly, monthly, or subject list. So then you know what you need to do for, say, that week. You need to get through a module of study, and you also need to maybe write your plan for your assessment that is due, say, in a week or 2 weeks time. So to-do lists are your friend. Even if you put on other stuff on it that you need to do for, say, that week or that day, like even if you need to put on it other things that you need to do, such as picking up some mended things, or I've got some shoes in being fixed at the moment, so I need to pick them up on Wednesday. Also, like to go and visit some grandparents and to go and do other things that you need to do, even if it's daily things like go for a run, do some exercise. Put them on the to-do list. It always feels good to be able to tick it off at the end. That is my favorite thing, is to be able to tick something off my to-do list. I love it. It gives you that sense of achievement and that feeling of success that you've done something today. In that being prepared, so it also is good to maybe have in your calendar basic work blocks. So I currently work online between 11 and 4, so 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I'm not always fully working during that time, but I am generally teaching classes in there, and I don't plan much during that time. If I do some work or do some study, good, perfect. If I don't, then it doesn't matter. or I am not bothered because I know it's generally not going to happen. So then I know that I need to do things before or after that time. So generally in the morning, I try and get up, like have a cup of tea, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I'll go for a run or do some exercise, but I always try and do about an hour of study in the morning. So I generally try maybe like 9:45, sit down, 9:45 to about 10:45, try and get that chunk of an hour in. And then in the afternoon, if I need to do more, I will do more depending on what needs to be done. So I will try and get that in before dinner. So I finish work at sort of 4:30. I will try and get in an hour maybe of study further on top of what I did in the morning. I try not to do too much more than 2 hours a day of study unless I've actually got an assessment due, and then obviously schedule as much time in as you need to do that. Tip number 2 is to have a support network. So support networks are very important. They help keep you motivated, they help keep you going. If you're struggling or feeling down or just finding it hard, they can help you with anything that you need. So I've got a couple. So first one is, I suppose, through AIB. They are very good. They have a class forum where you can post any issues or questions or just anything, about anything really that you want to talk about, and people will reply and help you out with those. Also in the weekly webinar, if I have questions, I can ask it in there and they will help you. You'll also have contact with your class teacher, so you can email them any questions that you need to ask. You also can contact your course coordinator, but that's probably, you can, but you probably don't need to. Your class teacher will be enough. The next is to have a friend support network. I have one friend who is currently studying her GDL, so her graduate diploma in law, or through London, one of the universities there. I know, I don't even have to talk to her about it all the time, but I know she's studying and it helps me to keep studying at the same time. So my partner as well is studying. He started studying about 2 weeks ago, which is a diploma in wealth management or finances or something to do with financial management, to be able to complete his master's starting in October, or to start his master's in October. So I know I can always talk to him about it, even just we can study together. And before, he was quite supportive. Even when I was just studying by myself, he would, I don't want to say make himself scarce, but he would be very quiet. He would have his headphones on if I needed quiet, like peace and quiet to be able to study, which is really good. Tip number 3 is to have a dedicated workspace. So this makes it so much easier that you can just put things down, leave it there, potentially open on the desk, and be able to come back to it tomorrow and know where you've left off. It also reduces that barrier to getting back into study the next day, which I find very helpful. I'm not quite in the position where I can do that. I have a desk where I'm working from that 11 till 4, and I do have some space there, but then my partner will sometimes need that workstation to be able to call his brother or work calls and things like that he needs to do. So I then will have to move away, which is fine. I generally move to the table because it is easy for me because everything is on my laptop. Yes, I do have one notebook that I write down notes in as and when I need, but that's it. So computer, laptop, pen, that's all I need to move away. And I know that when I'm at the dining table, that I'm not going to be there for that long. Like it may only be like one block of an hour, but I try and get most of my study done during the daytime. Try to remove all distractions from it as well. Like only have on the desk what you need. So say like your computer, a notebook, a pen, things like that. Try and get rid of all like the little other distractions and things. Especially in your internet browser, try and get rid of all the bookmarks that are like fun bookmarks. So you can have them there, just don't have them in your bookmarks bar, because sometimes you'll see it and be like, oh yeah, I'll just go look at YouTube, or I'll just go look at Facebook or whatever, something like that. Another tip onto that is to there's the apps that will block your social media time. So I know one is called Off Time. I don't know what the others are called, but there are lots out there. If you're wanting to get on social media during like your study period, so you can block in your study periods, it will try and stop you and make sure that you know what you're doing. So also onto that social media thing, try not to go on social media during that time. So, and set realistic expectations. I set an hour block and I know for that hour that I cannot go on social media. Okay, I want to, obviously I want to, because who doesn't want to procrastinate? But I know it's only 1 hour. It's only 1 hour. As soon as I like finish that hour, yes, of course you can go and look at it and do something else. But for that 1 hour, don't do it. I'm generally okay with that. I do sometimes look at the time on my phone and then I start to go into it and I'm like, no, go back to study, you've only got, say, like half an hour left of it. So it's also good once you start to get into the practice of that, it becomes easier. So you know for that hour, then you know that you're not allowed to. So I suppose, what is it? Like, the practicing hard things makes them easier. Another tip, I think we're up to 4 maybe, is to attend all your classes and webinars. So if you are online learning and there are classes where there's actual interaction, it's not just like a pre-recorded video, try and attend it, because it makes it so much more interesting when you're actually there and able to participate in the conversation and to ask your questions. And if you don't understand something, you can double check what they mean. It makes it easier. It also makes you feel more included and supported in the group, which helps to increase your motivation and desire to want to complete the study and the course. So definitely go to your webinars or attend your webinars if you can. And last one is, remember why you are studying, why you're doing what you're doing. So if it's to get that new job, to change careers, to get a raise, remember why you're doing it. Potentially write it down, have it on it as a note on your wall or next to your desk or as the background of your computer. So you can be like, okay, I'm studying because I want this. That is why I'm doing this. That is why I'm spending this time right now at my computer and not outside enjoying the sunshine or out riding my bike or like out hanging out with friends. It's so that you can do this. So whatever reason it is, write it down, put it there. So I hope that helps you to be able to study from home, or if not, it was just slightly entertaining for you. Let me know in the comments below if they do help, or if you've got any more tips and tricks that I can use, or that's something that I didn't mention in the video. Mention it down below for me, just so it will help me. I'm still studying. I've still got another sort of 18 months of study to go, so please, any help is much appreciated. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Please give me a big thumbs up, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye.